there, this is Professor Hornbeak. I am going to go over in this lesson sitemaps and information architecture that will help prepare you to brainstorm what you want your website to communicate and what you want to include in your website. So first, I just want to go over the term information architecture just briefly. So information architecture is all about organization of information in a clear and logical way. Such organization follows a clear purpose, helping users navigate complex sets of information. The value of information architecture is that we all know how important it is to produce content that users will find valuable, but what's equally important is making that content findable. Time is the most precious resource people have. We live in a world where people expect to find a solution to their problems with the least amount of effort. And when the process of finding that information is too complicated or too slow, there's a risk that people will simply abandon it. And when people abandon an app or a website, it's more difficult to bring them back. So organizing your information and your content within your website is vital to engaging your users and keeping them there. So I want to talk about sitemaps. So sitemaps are just basically a very simple outline of what you want to have in your website. So for this illustration, the blue represents your home page, where the pink, the yellow, and the green right below it represent your menu. And then below that, the sub-menu. So you have these categories that you insert all of your information and all your content and all your media. And then you organize that content within subcategories if necessary. So I want you to think about before you start working on your site, I need you to make a sitemap so you know exactly what kind of content you're looking for. So half of this assignment involves just finding your stuff. And that's one reason why I have a very simple platform for you to learn on, because the information and the content and the portfolio pieces themselves are just as important as the website itself. So I want you to have time to gather all of that information and all of those resources that maybe you haven't seen in like 3 years. And then also get to thinking about like what goals you want to have, like how do you want to identify yourself. So in your sitemap, you can really think about what kind of portfolio pieces are missing. So for example, say you want to go into screenwriting, but you only have one, great screenwriting piece that you can show in your portfolio, then that's an indication, to move forward with finding more opportunities to write more screenplays and getting more practice with that, even if it's not for an assignment, just to build up your portfolio where it identifies who you are and what you want to do after graduation. So in the software of your choice, I want you to make something like this with your titles included. So you can do this in Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, whatever you're most comfortable with. And it doesn't have to look like that past option. It can look something like this, where you have these little strings that go to the different links. So be creative, do what works for you. Most of you will have, of course, a home page, and then a lot of you might break your menus into specific categories depending on your major. So for example, if you are a media comm major and you're also a pianist, you might want to put have a link for, or have a menu item for media, and then another one for music, and then another one for what kind of athletics you've been a part of. And many of you are not going to have a ton of stuff to put in your website just yet, because you've only had, a few media classes that you would like to have put in your portfolio. So don't get discouraged, because that's pretty normal, especially when you have only been, in your college career for so long. But think about some other things that you can do, like maybe you're on a team and you have pictures of yourself playing on that team. Maybe you've won some awards for these sports. Any kind of extracurricular activities can count. And as you develop your portfolio while you're here in college, you will eventually replace some of those. So some of those things that you're super proud of when you were in high school for your college application, your college resume, can eventually be replaced while you're in college for an entry-level position. So design your sitemap how it works best for you, and think about how you want your menu to look. So one criteria for menus is that you don't have too many categories. Too many categories can really make it difficult for a user to find what they're looking for. So, for example, I really like using the metaphor of a house and architecture, because we are talking about information architecture, thinking about it in terms of normal architecture. So, for example, when you walk in my house, currently you have the option of either going to the dining room, the kitchen, the living room, or to a hallway that goes to the bedroom, or to the laundry room immediately as soon as you walk in the front door, because it's, a newer open concept. So you want to think about your site as having that exact same capability. So you want to have options, but you don't want to have every single option in your menu. So when you walk in my house, you don't immediately see the bathroom or immediately see the master bedroom. When you walk in, you enter a foyer where you have choices, and you get kind of like an idea of the context of where you are. So maybe like a family picture or something like that. And it's not like you're walking in straight into someone's master bedroom as soon as you walk in the front door. You kind of like have an entry point. So you want to have something similar with your website. You want to have choices, but you don't want to have, awkward amounts of choices where you're literally can see every single room in your house. So just like how I walk into a hallway to get to my bedroom, and then I go into my bedroom to get to my bathroom, similar with submenus. So for this example, there is the option to go to portfolio, and then item 2, and then sub item 1. That's kind of, a metaphor with you go to the hallway to get to the bedroom to get to the bathroom kind of thing. So, it's an item that, that you want to put in your portfolio, but you want to direct, not everyone's going to want to go straight to that sub item number 3 in your website. So kind of think about it that way. I have kind of a rule of thumb to not have more than 5 menu items at the top for portfolios. Obviously, if you are, really large nonprofit or something like that, you're going to have a lot more. But for an individual, this kind of setup is really is more ideal for, kind of a simple, easy to use site. So moving forward, think about what you want to include in your portfolio. Think about what kind of things that you included in your resume and your cover letter, or really just your resume and your CV. I want you to think about, what things did you say in that CV and resume, and then your website is sort of evident. It's evidence of those skills and that experience. So start there if you're having trouble thinking through what you want to include. So if you are majoring in instructional design and you want to show a potential employer your work in instructional design, you obviously want to make that your very first menu item. so you can show some projects you've worked on, some campaigns, etc. So brainstorm about how you want to organize your site, and then complete the sitemap using either Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign.